And so it's Kurt. I posted something on TDoR about a trans rant, and then I realized it was TDOR, and I probably shouldn't have trans ranted about that on Trans Day of Remembrance because it's Trans Day of Remembrance, and it's like special for that reason. Um, so I guess I'll say what I should have said on that day, which is, yes, trans women are disproportionately affected by violence in our community, specifically trans women of color, because people of color are always um, going as a minority going to experience more violence than white folks. Uh, the gay panic defense is still a thing in the majority of states, um, which makes it legal to kill trans people. So there's lots of stuff happening there. Um, I have an issue like Trans Day of Remembrance is very cool. It allows us to mourn the people that we have lost in our community. Um, I just, at the same time, want people to know that although there is a reason for mourning those that you have lost, for minority groups, it has become the norm in our society to really only care about minorities once they're gone because it's so awful that our system has allowed them to leave. Um, I think we need to start to change that because we can't get justice for these people that we've lost. There's no justice for Daniel Prude and all of these other people, Breonna Taylor, that we've lost. There's no justice that you can ever get for them. You can get justice for the families by getting the people that caused the death of their loved ones to leave, but you can never get justice for the people that were lost. It's impossible. Those people are dead. You respecting them post mortem doesn't do anything for them. They're dead. And I think on a whole scale, all minority oppression, and I'm not like I can't speak for everyone, but we really need to shift the narrative to instead what can we do for people when they're alive to give them respect and dignity, for people like Ashley Diamond who are still locked away in penitentiaries for a parole violation. It's those people that we aren't respecting, that are close to death, that we aren't helping at all. And I think it's important to have days where we do remember people, but we can't let that become the only time that we'll respect people when they die horrifically. Because the trans people that did die horrifically were special and important not because they died horrifically, but because they had the audacity to be themselves in a world that wants them to be anything but themselves. That is why they're special and important. And them being themselves is what makes them worth celebrating. It's not the fact that they were killed needlessly. It's the fact that the people that they were before were such great people and such amazing specialness that was brought to in our society that is now missing. And that is why these people are remembered. It's not because the transphobic person shot them. It's not because the cop shot them. It's not because of any of these things. It's because those people were special from the beginning. And we need to start looking at these things. There was an MLK quote that after the lynchings of the young men, I forget particularly what lynching because there's been so many, but he said, "Yes, these people have died. This is a of course a not a word for word translation, but he basically said we need to address the systems which allowed these people to die and not the people that killed them as much, but the systems that allowed these people to perpetuate these violence. How did these people come to be?" We need to shift our view into instead of preventing people that hate trans people from killing trans people, we need to identify why are we creating people in our society, and why are we perpetuating the society where the loss of trans people is allowed. And it's not just loss by murder. Yes, that happens, but I had a friend who died from suicide this year. So Trans Day of Remembrance to me needs to remember them too. Because the reason why trans people are dying from suicide is because you're fucking handing them the rope. And you're doing it with the ideology that you put through, and you're doing it with the self-hate that you make trans people take as their only identity. That is on you. So, yes, we lost lots of good people this year that we shouldn't have lost. But we need to start taking care of the trans people that are alive so that we don't lose more. And I know that if we change the way that we view transness on a societal level, where trans people are now supported by our biological sciences, then all of these gay panic defenses and all these terrible rhetoric that is drawn up against the trans community and litigated against the trans community, it can't happen anymore. So when I say that I demand transness to be respected in your academia, I demand transness to be expected in your medicine and your legislation system, which is what the medicine is based on, it is in hopes that if you change these things, these base things, I'm a strict determinist, the other things, the other causes that we're fighting to stop, people murdering the people in the trans community, trans people not being able to find jobs, not be able to get in homes, all of these other things, my hope is that that goes away once we get the institutionalized respect for transness and the just the institutionalized respect for what transness is, and the belief that we are real and we deserve the same privileges that our cis counterparts get. So I'm an asshole and I posted on Trans Day of Remembrance, and I shouldn't have, because I'm not the person to speak for that, really. When I walk down the street, I get treated like I'm a cis man, a white cis man at that. So, I mean, fuck the police, but if I were a black trans man, I would feel like I would actually have something to say on this matter. Um, I don't have much to say. I'm just an asshole of privilege who is trying to make things better for my community. And I'm not going to stop talking because it can't hurt. Also, I finished reading the Gita. I really liked it. It focused a bit too much on the caste system, but I did note that it said that the wise people treat the untouchables the same as they would someone of a higher caste. I'm not that against India's caste system because I think we have the same caste system in the United States, only it's perpetuated silently through generational wealth. Same exact caste system, it's just God didn't ordain it. Instead, the rich white men did. So, can we get rid of it? Yes, as we develop. Should we get rid of it? It should have already gotten rid of in the United States, but it's still there. Anyway, I liked the Gita, though. It said that we were all one and that I should perform actions without expecting any results, because if the results come, it will have been God that brought them. And I just have to sit around patiently and wait, twiddle my thumbs until the time comes, pretty much. But yeah, I liked the Gita. I've read it. My translation wasn't very poetic, which pissed me off, but I don't really know how poetic the original one was, so what do I have to go by? I always wish that I could read, I really wish I could read Rumi as written, but you can't read it in English as written. The translation fucking ruins it. Lots of Rumi is whitewashed, and all the Islam is taken out of it, so can't really read Rumi, but you can read an interpretation of Rumi. Fuck translations. I really wish I could read other languages. That would be super cool. But yeah, the Gita is cool. I think that there's other texts that can enlighten you with in easier ways than the Gita. If you're already enlightened, reading the Gita is kind of like reading the Gateless Gate. You're already through it, so you really don't need to be reading it. But if you aren't enlightened, the Gita is probably not going to be the text that full blown enlightened makes you enlightened. Because unless you're of Hinduism, you're not going to really understand what's happening there. But if you already know the truth, and there is one, if you already know the truth, you'll be able to read the Gita and fly through it, because with or without the Hinduism vocabulary, you can catch on. But anyway, that's what I have to say about that.